Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to make these adorable gift bags. Each one has either a collage pocket, a waterfall, or a card on it. And of course, they all have a ton of embellishments. You will need sheet music. I have picked up this entire book from an estate sale. I love it. You will also need some mesh, gauze, or lace for your closure, some hole reinforcers, some little embellishments, and a 2-hole punch. Some washi tape of your liking, a sanding block, which you may or may not actually use, little scissors or regular size scissors, scalloped scissors, or just normal pinking shears if you don't have the scalloped scissors. And you will also need a small collection of some of your favorite papers or pretty papers or specialty papers. That one right there is a little collage that I made. You also need a card, something with flowers, just pretty stuff, some dyed ledger paper, some gel print paper, whatever you have laying around that will look pretty together. You will also need a bone folder. This glue bottle I enjoy using. I enjoyed using the Barely Arts glue for a long time until I found this glue, this Line Co., which is basically the same price for that big bottle as the same price as the Barely Arts. And we'll also need some Fabri-Tac since we're gluing fabric, and vintage photo ink pad, some tape for reinforcement. So I'm going in right now showing you this design of the bag with the card on the side. Each bag has gusseted sides so you can fit things in it nicely without your bag crunkling up. And I will be doing this tutorial completely in the video, embellishing that entire bag. And this collage I did with the Tim Holtz person, and that serves as a pocket, but I did not make this. I made it off camera, I don't know, sometime last year. So we've got 3 of these bags, all gusseted, each decorated slightly different, or actually incredibly different. And yes, so they're all very cute. This is the first one that I made today, and we'll jump right in with making this one, but I wanted to show you the end result. Sometimes it's tricky going into a tutorial and not really seeing what you're making or what I am making. So here we go, gusseted bag made from sheet music with a gauze closure. It's actually not gauze, it's a part of a Halloween costume, part of a mummy Halloween costume that I took apart. And the top piece here you can do as the tag, the gift tag, or you can just write your little to and from on the back of your envelopes if you don't want to mess up the beautiful art that you've put on each of your bags. Now, moving on into the tutorial, grab a piece of sheet music, fold it like this, bring the top and the bottom edges together, and crease it. Depending on how old your paper is, you might want to put thick tape on the inside where these folds are so they won't crack out and rip, which I have to do on one of them. This sheet music was really thick, so I didn't need to. Now take your glue and on the folded side of your paper, do a bead all the way down, and then on the inside of this paper, do a bead all the way down and connect them together. I like to do the 2 beads so none of the edges are flapping around either on the inside or the outside. Now, with your ends on to the left and the right, fold up each side about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch all the way across. They don't need to be exact. I tried using my score board and it pretty much just punctured the paper. So just folding it by hand is the trick. Now, open up your bag. And what you're doing is you're basically shoving the side of your pocket into itself. I'm not sure if you guys caught that. So there's the center crease that you're pushing into the side of the bag, and that makes the gusset. I might have to do that part again. That was edited too quickly to really show what has happened there. So now take the bottom of your bag and flip it up add some glue to the inside of the flap here, and also in between those flaps there. Press it down good, make sure it's down well. I didn't glue this washi tape down, but you really need to. I think I went back and I glued it down. Even if it is really sticky, you still need to do it. Trim off the washi tape on both sides. Don't wrap it around the back. If you wrap it around the back, you won't be able to open your bag. Now we're going to start decorating. This is the one that has the waterfall style gift tag on the front. So I've gathered up some of the papers that I want to use because they're super pretty together. This is our bag. I'm going to flip down the top so I can kind of figure out how much area I have to work with. The waterfall itself is going to tuck underneath the flap. And for a more accurate flap size, I've taken my scallop scissors and cut across there, which shortens it a little bit. And we start just with an old receipt, kind of bill type paper, real thin, real fragile. And then I've taken some vintage ledger with some writing on it. And then I've taken the book page with the flower botanical on it, or the flower illustration. And this part, this part of the video that I shot was, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 minutes long, just dilly-dallying, just trying to figure out the placement of everything, which is always the longest part, making your collage look and feel fluid and intentional. I've added in some gauze underneath there. And once I've gotten it all how I want, I just staple it together. I didn't glue any of it. Dry fitting it, I see that I had one staple sticking out, so I added a second staple to make it look intentional. And what I do next, I use a small hole punch. That ended up being too small for the gauze closure that I'm using. So I'm about to switch gears here pretty soon because I don't like the way it looks when it's opened, when the closure is off. I don't like all those holes. I had to double punch it. It looks stupid. So I went back, took out the tie, and I found some of my handmade hole reinforcers before I had a hole reinforcer punch. So I know that when I made these, I used the 2-hole punch. So the inside of this hole reinforcer will be the same size as my 2-hole punch. The crocodile punch is slightly smaller than the center of these hole reinforcers. So that's why I'm using these. So I've decided to put hole reinforcers on basically all the holes. The top of the flap, the inside of the flap, the top of the collage, and the back of the gift bag. Now that I've got the first 2 on the top, I'm using the double 2-hole hole punch, and I'm using the hole reinforcer on the top of the flap to kind of line up on the bottom of the hole reinforcer where I need to punch. Luckily, where I'd placed my original hole punches were pretty close to maxing out on where I could punch with this 2-hole punch. It's a little further in, but it looks a lot better than what it did originally. So here now I'm taking, I'm using 8 hole reinforcers in total, 2 on the collage, 2 on the front flap, 2 on the inner flap, or on the back also. This is the inner flap. And then I can thread my new piece of gauze through and make it pretty. Tie a little bow. I'd used baker twine on a different style bag, and the bows just looked terrible. So using something fluffy for your tie closure is the key. Now, moving on to the next style bag, using a card as the gift tag. This, I pulled out some of my dyed and gold embossed ledger paper that I dyed a couple years ago. This Paris-themed vintage style card. It's not vintage, but it's styled to be vintage. Why are we stopped? What's going on? Hang on. Okay, apparently I didn't press stop when I walked away. So the video is much shorter than I thought. So to begin with, I've got this card and I'm going to use a piece of kind of coffee dyed paper. When I coffee dye my paper, I put thin copy paper in between each sheet so it kind of dries a little bit faster. And so I've got these kind of crinkled, kind of dyed extra papers that I just kind of use for whatever. And what I want to do is add them into the inside of this very white, stark white card because I don't like how white it is. And now I'm just ripping off the excess from both sides of the paper, folding it in half, and that should give me the size of paper that I need to put inside of the card. But before I glue down the card, the inside pieces to the card, I want to ink up the white part of the inside of the card because the pieces that we're adding don't go from edge to center. They are, they've got a little bit of a margin cut out of them. So I don't want any of the white to be showing on the card. And I'm just going to add a little tiny bit more distressing onto these papers, even though they do have like some dye on them. Glue around and in the middle and place on the card where you want them. This piece I had a little chunk ripped out on purpose. I was going to put some of that cello oops tapes on it, but I decided I couldn't find that stuff and just put a piece of washi tape over it instead. I like it. And now I've pulled out some of the little tiny Tim Holtz number labels or whatever. I pulled a few of them out just to kind of figure out what I wanted. Found the one I wanted. I'm inking it up and I'm going to put it on a little piece of the mesh. My phone just died, so I had to start over here again. So putting it on the mesh, kind of frizzing it out a little bit. And then that will go on the inside bottom right hand corner of this card. Glue it down. I probably should have used Fabri-Tac, but it's okay. A lot of the paper is poking through the mesh. And now get that down in place how we want it, how we like it. So far so good. Some of the fringes hanging out of the card like that, added texture. And because I hardly ever use these little labels, I'm actually picking them back up and putting them away. Yeah, I made that little envelope so I could see what kind of stuff I have stored in things. I made it out of, the stuff that lamination pouch. I made it out of the lamination pouch. Anyway, so I've got my, decorative papers that I want to put on to this pocket, gift bag. And I found some kind of beigey brown fabric that I think I harvested from a shirt, and I've cut that down to the size that I want. This is the decorative piece of paper that I want to have layered behind it. However, when I do collages like this, I don't like to waste the paper that's behind, the things that you're not going to see. So this is really special paper to me. So I want to save as much as I can. And then I kind of just, I want to cut the scalloped edge on the envelope flap so I know how much surface area I have to work with. And then I just kind of set things back on how I want them to be. There's a lot that I cut out of, edited out of this stage because there's a lot of moving around and hoeing and humming and, trying to figure things out. So, my collage style is cut things out that will be hidden and just glue one piece down at a time. Now I want to fix this fabric into place here. So I'm just putting a little bit of Fabri-Tac down. And the trick with Fabri-Tac and fabric is when you put the glue down on the paper that you're putting the fabric onto, smear it around with your finger. So that way it doesn't ooze through your fabric and you don't have a glue spot on your fabric. Especially good tip with thin fabric like this. So put it on your paper, smear it around with your finger. And then you don't get those unsightly glue spots that we hate. This, I didn't want it hanging over so much, so I put another bead of glue in there and just kind of pulled it in. The card's going to cover up that fold in the fabric right there. And now I'm just sort of like, something's missing. What do I need to add here? And so I took a piece of that ledger paper there. You can't really see it very well on camera, but there's some writing that peeks through. So I just kind of liked it. I liked the layered. I liked how it's just kind of stacked. I'm really digging the stacked look, like, you know, a stack of papers on your desk, and that's my collage. Pretty much is what I've done. And then piecing these together to make sure that I get them in the spot that I want. I keep it in place, hold it down with my hand, and then put a little dab of glue between the two papers. So that way I don't have to recreate this placement that I've liked. So it just some gluing papers here and there, picking up, cutting more out that I won't be using, that won't be visible, you know. So this is like 100-year-old ledger paper. If I can save as much of it as I can, I'm gonna do that. And I end up using this piece of paper that I've saved on the inside of this card. So it's you know, this is why I do this stuff. The more paper, the merrier. So I'm liking where we are now. So I'm gluing down these two pieces of the collage, the card and this ledger paper. That just pokes out a tiny bit, adds a little layer, and placing that right now, scooching it in, scooch, and we like it. This is the little piece of the extra ledger paper that we just cut out that I'm going to just very casually add to the inside of this card, and I'm calling it a collage. Even though it's very simple, it's still a collage. And then the piece of dyed special ledger paper that I liked, that I cut out, the first thing that I glued onto the pocket, I'm using this to add some zhuzh to the top of the envelope flap, of the gift bag flap. I really like this paper. This paper is also, I think it was 1916 ledger paper that I had dyed and gold embossed all over, and just loads of fun. It was kind of when I first started junk journaling. It was like the first batch of papers that I dyed. And I saved a little bit on the flap so it could fold over onto the back. I'm trimming some pieces off now. My phone dies during this recording part, so it might get a little jumpy, a little skipped around for a second, but here we go. I'm just trimming off this piece, and then I think I lose power in a second. We'll see. Just trimming the excess off the sides. So yeah, this is where I'm back online. The inside of the card, the top of the flap, all I did to it was just scallop the edge. And now I'm adding the 2-hole punch to the top of the gift bag. And then I will begin to add all of the hole reinforcers. I really like this. These hole reinforcers that I made, they were made from some packaging, some Amazon Art Deco papers, whatever. It was the cardboard packaging. So the side that I'm sanding right now is a little glossy. So I'm removing the gloss so the glue will bite to the gift bag that I'm adding these hole reinforcers onto. Otherwise, they're real slippery, hard to stick, you know. So all in all, I'm using 8 for the 8 holes that I've punched. And, you know, we're gluing. Hopefully I edit this really fast because, you know, it's the same thing over and over. Top flap, inside of the flap, on the collage, and the back side of the pocket. Or gift bag. I keep calling it a pocket. It is a pocket, but it's also now a gift bag. So we're doing that. We're holding those down, making sure they're stuck really well. And then really the only next thing that we need to do here is add our gauze. Gosh, that looks really nice. I added a piece of washi tape to the back of the little bit of the flap that hangs over on the back side because it wasn't cut straight. So washi tape kind of fixes everything, basically. We've threaded our gauze closure, tying a cute little bow, trimming where it needs to be trimmed. And yeah, and then I'm going to open it real quick again after I cut these stragglers off. It's really cute. I love it. I love it a lot. There's the back side. Little fringe on the side there. And then to open the card, ta-da, you can write your stuff in there. I was really deliberating pretty hardcore if I wanted the card to be on top of the flap or not, but I like it tucked under. It's not as practical being under because you can't open it until you open your present. But now we're moving on to our third pocket. This is a little collage thing, a large pocket that I made to glue onto a journal page. I loved it. I loved the background and all the collage and everything that I did. I made these sometime last year. I used Tim Holtz paper dolls for the pocket. And we're just gluing it on right now. I've scalloped the edge already on this pocket, on this gift bag. A couple little fancy things that I stuck in there. Some of that fancy old dyed ledger paper and some dyed lace that I used for probably dyeing some papers that I backed onto cardstock. Another good tip to remember with the scalloping the flap is cut it when it's folded over. If you cut it while it's not folded over, when you do fold it over, the two scalloped edges will be offset from each other. In other words, they're not going to be stacked on top of each other. So that was a little something that I learned during this whole experiment today making this, which I'm glad I caught because it was really annoying. Now you can see how they're just perfectly stacked on top of each other. And next I will be doing the 2-hole punch and all the business again with the hole reinforcers and gluing them all down. So we're almost there. And at the end of the video, I did show again how to fold the gusset. When I showed it in the beginning of the video, I felt like it was way too fast, and I was afraid that nobody caught it. So I'll do a quick little redo tutorial at the end. These hole reinforcers I only had 6 of, so I'm using 2 from the green hanging file folders on the inside of the flap, and the rest will be the top of the flap, the back, and on top of the collage. And these there's some cardstock from scrapbook paper from like the 90s with some script text on them. I thought it went really well with the old-timey vibe of the girl and all the cool stuff with it. So tying the bow, so that means that we're finished putting on all the eyelets or the hole reinforcers, which was honestly the most tedious part. So super cute. Add a little piece of washi tape back there for no reason at all. You don't need reasons to do stuff. So here's the girl. Here's the card. Super cute. Back side again, in case you guys forgot. And then here's the original one that I started that inspired me to make this whole video. And I thought it would be cool to have some other options so you can really see how many things you can do to these things. Okay, so now I'm doing the tutorial once more on how to make these bags. Get your sheet music or whatever paper you're using. Take your top and your bottom and fold them into each other in the center, making sure that your edges are lined up on the bottom. If they're not, the sides of your gift bag will not be straight. Now just flip open one side, glue down the edge right here. I was having the hardest time with my glue bottle. I had a big old dried chunk in it, so finally got that cleared. And then glue the other side of the flap and marry them together just like this. Kind of hold it down really well before you start your next step with doing the gussets. You want it to be dry. If it's not dry and you start folding stuff, it will just pop open. So starting in the middle, fold up 1/4 to 1/2 inch in on both sides. And when you do your first fold, you really want to pull down with your fingers on the paper because it kind of makes a little bubble in there. So just make sure that you're folding these two folds flat. Like the whole thing is flat. The paper in the middle is flat. There's no warping or anything. So now, okay, this is where it's going to be the challenge to explain. We're popping open the folds. We just did. We are going to take there's 2 points there. The part that we're pushing down right now is the original side of the bag. So we're pushing it through the 2 points that we've made from the single fold that we added after. Here, I'll try to do it. Trying to catch this on camera was really tricky. So start like that, right? And then just push down and crease, push down and crease. Trying to do it so my hand's not throwing a shadow. But yeah, that's here's the end. This is where I'm saying it should make an M, like that. So you're pushing in the side to make an M. If you're pushing it out, it would make a W, and it would be weird, and it wouldn't be right. So that's what we've got. Now I'm just folding it to show you once more, the whole situation again. Yeah. And like I said, I prefer this bag over just a normal deli bag because it gives you more play. You can stuff more stuff in this bag. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Really fun making these and sharing with you. Thanks for watching. Like, follow, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.